How's it going? Hello. Thanks for taking the call. I have a question for a friend of mine who has younger people in their family, and the younger people are asking about dating advice. And I'm not talking about jumping on a Grindr profile or anything. I'm just talking about organically. Where can younger people go and seek out a good match for them?
How young?
Let's go under 18.
Yeah, so most of these dating apps, I believe, actually do have that 18-year-old cutoff. And with like high schools and everything else being online, that's a really difficult question. Grace, do you have any insights?
My first instinct is Instagram. I mean, sliding into the DMs.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad point. Really, any way that people are interacting, you know, if you're online and if you're online being social, you have a network of potential daters. I don't know. Is there a way, I guess, especially when you're young, to navigate those boundaries without coming across as a creep by just, you know, dropping into somebody's DMs?
You know, the kids these days know about it. They got their TikToks and their Snapchats and...
Yeah, I have to acknowledge how out of touch we all are when it comes to like high school dating for the modern era.
I never figured out dating when I was in high school.
No.
So
Yep, nope, that's fair.
What about for people, let's say age older, let's say 25?
Yeah, I think these are the folks that are jumping onto dating apps, and I really, even before all of this, I've always been a big fan of online dating. I think that there's a lot of opportunities, and I know that it doesn't fit well for everybody, but I think it can be a great way to learn about yourself. You can discover your sexuality by having these sort of low-cost interactions, these opportunities to date people in a very casual way before making a commitment and meeting all kinds of different people that are outside of your friend group, of your worldview, of your circumstances. Beyond that, you know, I'm aware that there are still a lot of online meetup groups and things like that, but that all feels pretty thin. Do either of you have anything to recommend for folks in their like early 20s?
I would definitely say don't be afraid to date different dating apps, to try out different apps and see what you think about them, because there are so many. I was looking up the other day just to get an idea of, you know, if there were a bunch of them that I had never heard of, because I feel like I usually hear the same few, you know, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, OkCupid are kind of ones that come up a lot, but there are way more than that. So, you know, and they're all different. They all have unique things about them, and they all draw kind of a different crowd too. And there's definitely some overlap, and sometimes you will see the same people on several different dating apps, but they all have their quirks. And so just being willing to try different dating apps and see which one feels right for you.
When
Cool.
I'm talking to people,
is there a quick like a checklist you can give to know when you're ready for dating? Like, would seeing a therapist to go over any issues you might have to not take into a relationship be a good option for you? Like, what would you say to get prepped to really be good to go?
You'll never go on a date if you try that. That's just there's.
Well, you know, like we said, like good to go or ready enough is kind of a difficult thing because we want to encourage people to not put too many barriers in front of themselves. That being said, there's, you know, it's important to be smart about when or who or how or just how much to date. What kinds of I guess checklists or thoughts do y'all have?
I'm thinking, you know, if you notice that you're getting into the same pattern again and again in relationships, that might be a good time to see a therapist. and to talk about those things and understand those patterns if you would like to not repeat that again. That's the only thought I have as far as the checklist goes.
I mean, I like the idea, of being ready, because how many times have women been free therapy for men? But
yeah. No, that's a really fair point. My office is full of people, particularly women, who are there because the people they're dating, particularly men, aren't willing to go into a therapist office. And so, yeah, that's a very real dynamic we've created. But in terms of like when to see a therapist, I think the answer is always whenever you want. And what I mean by that is if you are considering it, listen to your instincts. A therapist can help you at any stage of life, whether we're talking about you've never dated and you're just feeling anxious about how to go through the process. Maybe you've been dating and you want to change some habits. Maybe you feel confident about where you're going, but this is important to you. And so you want to step up your game a little bit emotionally and just increase your kind of overall wisdom in your approach to it. But at the same time, if you're in any of those three situations and you don't have the space in your life, you're not looking for change, you're happy with where things are, that's okay too. And I don't know that anybody in those situations needs a therapist. I think the better question is, are you looking to change something about yourself? And if the answer to that question is yes, a therapist can help you change. That's what they're there for. Not to help you get a date or to help you, change in those kinds of ways, change your circumstances, but to change yourself. And if you feel like changing yourself is going to be the right thing to do, jump on it.
Yeah, I feel like we've got a sort of a dynamic where people go through their lives without having someone really close that they can talk to. And then when they get close to someone, suddenly, well, this is where all of my issues go, because this is the only person that I am comfortable sharing them with. Whereas if you would have someone, whether that be a therapist or like a really good friendship or something like that, that you can rely on, parent or something like that, for people who have parents, then you get away from that. You don't have to I'd say burden, you don't have to lay everything onto that one person.
Yeah. I wish there was some sort of solid checklist of, hey, do all of these things and then you'll be ready to be in a relationship. I wish that some of the people I've dated went through that checklist.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah. But, there's really not. And with the therapy thing, I think it's also, Christy, you mentioned kind of trusting your instincts. And that can be kind of tricky because a lot of people's instinct when it comes to therapy is, I don't need therapy. I don't need to talk about my emotions ever with anyone or acknowledge them. And so if that's your instinct, is this kind of gut reaction of therapy is for insert whatever here, weak people or whoever it might be, take a moment to kind of look at that too. Everybody has feelings. Every human being has feelings. And when we don't talk about them, research shows that they get bigger and bigger and they cause more and more behavior changes in us that we don't want to happen. So, looking at that with yourself too and asking yourself what therapy means to you, what kind of preconceived ideas you have about therapy that came from our society and our culture.
Mm-hmm. I hope that gives you some direction, Ben. I mean, is there anything else that still feels kind of lingering?
No, that sounds good. Great advice. I appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks so much for giving us a call. Take care.